1 minute chart, and it's the euro versus the yen, and I'm long the euro versus the yen using the Ryan bot. Bots by Ryan. Although I couldn't get it to run on my fixed pip broker very well without getting a constant serial number message. But this is the free bot from his last bot, and I tried to download the fresh bot, the version 8, but I haven't got that far yet. So I'm long the euro versus the yen on like 15K here at 501 leverage. No stops, but I published this. My combined scalping scripts that I ran, which were just breakout orders earlier, I bracketed this different instruments here, the euro, dollar, across different pairs. A little this, a little that. 22 days of trading. Now the euro's going through the roof again tonight. So we had a lot of price action. Up 80 pips, down 50 pips, just like real life. The look at the on this crude oil. Wow. So I'm just sitting here looking for the trade, looking for my losers to become winners. I'm down $235 right now. So most of the time the market is really doing this kind of stuff. But everybody wants it to go. So most people aren't into markets that are like this. Maybe they're more into that Hitchcock shit. Oh no, I like markets like that. Look how this thing's pulling back, that 1 minute chart. We just came back to just above the close of U.S. session spread. Here is about 1.2. The robot's got a filter on this. It won't pull the trigger until it gets below 10, maybe. I don't know. I don't like to give the restraints. I don't like to quarantine my bots too much on the spread. You can see the problem with the lockdown, how that just doesn't work. It's like if you just went like this all day and never strummed the fucking chord. People like those wide open plains, you know. Now they're gonna send out a tracker on top of your ass. We're gonna do a little army scanning is what we're gonna do. Got that covert, don't you? Up in the attic. Got that little 19-year-old covert girl up in the attic, don't you? That's the consolidation song. Well, this is my triangle. So I was running a robot today, the breakout bot. It's been around forever, free. It has choices for triangles and martingale, and then I found some free code. It did perform too bad, but the Ryan bot's been doing pretty well, actually. It's the Asian Session Consolidation song. I think that's why my guitar playing's so erratic that the market's affected me. I can't play the trend anymore. Pop music's just too boring. I guess that's how it always was. You want to hear some schizophrenic fucking 21st century schizoid, man. Who the fuck could hang with the goddamn... That'll make you start drinking all that fucking blue shit. I want something a little more sophisticated. More mysterious. Here's the bridge. This is a reversal. This is where everything could go terribly wrong. That's you running out of margin. Holy shit, came off. I just ran it. Just enough margin. So we made up some big cup and handle going on there in the chart there. So that's the cup. I think we've completed. We're sitting at fair value, or sitting at the same place you were a little bit ago, unless you blew up the account because you're so fucking happy on that pullback. So that's another thing to consider. How big are you in? Can you afford to ride some of these to the final destination? In your mind, it's not a straight line. In your mind, it's a straight line, but in reality, it's a very crooked, messy path down to the... This is my musical tutorial. Why the market is music. I got a drifting tuner writer. That's the Ranko chart. Very predictable. I'd say the Ranko would be major keys, I think. So the robot just sold, the Ryan bot just sold. Because the market went up, I think. I don't know if I'm forcing it to trade. I'm on the 1 minute chart. I think I'm forcing it to trade more often. From what I back tested so far. So that's when we take off on the trend right there, is on that. I mean, 80% of the market's introduction. I suppose the trend is the chorus, the makes sense part of it, the big move, you know. Okay, so that's about how boring trading really is. They're just waiting for shit to happen. Looks like a buy right there. I kind of wanted to intervene on top of the robot. Oh, I'm sorry. That's, yeah, I'm actually seriously long right now. You just can't see the tickets. Because I'm on the 1 minute chart. Let me go to the, oof, my mouse is dying here, wait. Let's go out to the 1 minute, the 1 hour chart. So see how long I am? So selling down here is stupid. So I'm gonna intervene, and the robot's, even though it's a 1K, I feel like it's not right. It's just not right. So we have to go to type. Pluck these, 2 of these off. Absolutely, I don't agree with the robot there, so. Robot's gonna keep trying to sell that. I know this, I know how retarded this robot is. It's seriously long. Euro versus the yen. Sorry. I forgot to say that. It was very long, even though it's down. Because Ryan Brown says, well, losers can become winners, I agree. So, back to the charting thing. Seriously, I can't sit here and play this fucking guitar. It's too much work, honestly. Everything's work at this point. There goes my system naturally. Okay, so sorry you had to hear that, but I guess I had to get that out of my system. Anyways, sitting here watching the markets, bored to death. I think the riot bot. The Ryan bot. Let me show you what I'm looking at here. Here's the lowdown, as they say, on this stuff. Let me go to the. I'm going to go to. I published this my trading and the trading of the robots and my trading. I put a little bracketed scripts in there. So this is what I'm up a few bucks here on this, actually, believe it or not, because the beauty of the robot's been able to take us there. We've gotten the nice fills here and everything. Okay, it's now 11 o'clock. Boom. That's another reason I want to get out of that trade. Is because of that. I could have got out of everything at the end of the day, or I could have like 5 o'clock, just before the spreads get bad. You could get out of everything, go flat, and start over and let the Ryan bot come back in and do its thing. All it's really doing is buying in a grid. So I found a couple of grid traders out there, and I found a martingale one that actually spiked in really hard, and it's I think it does run a trailing stop. You can choose that stop. All those settings are available. But on this 1 hour chart here, we got zoomed out. Let's face it, if you're going to babysit the 1 hour chart, now this is maximum zoom out right now. If you zoomed into this level, you could almost see the trades. Like, you can see how you could have made money from, say, drawing a trend line here, right? And you could trade this whole channel. That is true. But would you do that? And if you did that, you'd probably want to trade this channel inside the channel because it's lower risk, right? This enables you to take an envelope entry. So you're going to have this channel. So the idea of the like the Ender's pitchfork is that you're going to consider the center point, right? You're going to consider the middle here. You can consider all these trades, you know. It's because for you to make money on this kind of scheme, it really comes down to this. You got to have this trade going on where you keep on, say you're going to buy a breakout of what you perceive this to be some big resistance area, maybe. Are you going to put Albert Brooks buy stop in there? Are you going to break it out? Are you going to put a buy stop down here? Or are you just going to keep buying every time it dips to the 100-yard line? So you can see that in this giant, of course, you don't know the future. You don't know what's out here. All you know is you draw your first trend line here. Your first trend line comes in here. So you assume everything from that is going to be trajected here. And of course, you don't touch the trend line till here. So do you negate this trade? No, that's the reason for the Andrews pitchfork approach. Or I call this the standard Western fork that you eat a salad with. Look at the salad fork system. But doesn't it really come down to things like, well, how about if I was to say, I'm going to buy everything below here? Well, you might say, well, by the time you get down here, you're going to buy, according to this 10-pip grid, you'll be at a 6K here. You'll be at a 7K. You'll be at a 8. Let's just be a goof, you know. And there's $1 million in the account. And you can afford this trade. It's probably not going to keep tanking. If it did, you're going to be in, keep on counting, right? And this robot doesn't really care much about it. Literally, a grid trading bot is all he built, in essence. No matter what happens,
you're gritting into it, and whatever the trigger is irrelevant. This is like random trading, and does pretty good. I mean, if you can look at the chart and say, okay, if you don't like it, you get out. Now, right now we're down a few bucks. I guess you could just get out, right? I'm over with it. I'm over with it. I can't take it no more. 200 and balance says X, but if we cash out, we're going to look like this. About if we get out right now while the market's quiet, I'd be up about. I started with 5,000 and I made about 200 with manual trading it, like putting in breakout tickets in the very beginning of this account. So if the market was down here, I said, well, we're just going to get a hedge going. Every time the market goes into a double bottom, after the first bottom, we'll assume, after a big move down, we'll assume it's dead. So just in Asia, we keep putting on hedges every Asian session. So on top of this trading, on top of this channel that people are perceiving as tradable for some reason, you can see the breakout trades around it makes sense. If you waited for, say, okay, you're going to buy a pullback in Asia to anywhere approximately on any kind of trend. Well, criteria like that here, it closes kind of like, kind of deadish here. I mean, compared to this move, right, this is Asia. Here's comes screaming out of Asia. I mean, there's not even, it doesn't get a chance to get the party, it's just gone because it's structurally, it's taking out this void, and it takes it out so brutal. I guess so much for. There's all these trades on top of trades going on, right? So what's really driving the market are voids. Even though you can draw this channel and also trade that, it's kind of strange, right? This guy in no nonsense with doing trend lines, and he was combining it with no nonsense, and it was so cute because he says, "I think I found the Holy Grail here." I don't want to say anything right away here, but just step back, Jack, because I think I got the Holy Grail going on. And so you have to consider, right? So, but if you looked at it from an Asian breakout standpoint, this breakdown is trapping people, but what's really going on is after the peak in, this looks like the U.S. London Open, whatever, we come back to, we make a small move back. It's the size of that move. And structurally, from a top become a bottom in time structure, which is different than the void structures, this top becomes a bottom. Kind of, you could say it overshot, but not so much on close because I'm taking the wicks out. The whole reason of the one period moving average, which is this line chart, is that it takes the noise out. Because it's got a rhythm to it. I mean, it's got a snapshot. That's like the metronome. It keeps on taking a shot every hour of the market. So you know that probably within 5 or 7 hours, this came blistering down. Why is this a blister move? And why is this a blister move? Is it because it fell out of this perfect channel? Well, it's kind of because the market got very, very quiet. You got this on line charts only. You got a apex here. Everything's getting very congested, very quiet, and meanwhile, there's a looming void underneath here. So if you're trading in anticipation that there's going to be divergence, which means you're not going to make this target anymore. So divergence in the sense you're not going to make the channel target, which would be, so here you really make a big high. Every rally after that's failing to even touch the middle. You can make all these comments, Because I always wondered when I saw Andrew's pitchfork, well, what's the rule? And this could be a Fibonacci fork. This could be 38%. This is 618. This is 50 of that. You could go on and on. You could make all sorts of like, oh, I see it like this. I see it like that. Yeah, it's of course the way you see it. Then, let's not forget this channel that walks down into that channel. You could have traded that. These are big. These are substantial 20 pip moves. Here's a 100 pip scream. Here's like a 100 pip just blow your mind. Breaks down in Asia. We know Asia's at the dotted line. You put a goober sell stop and a goober buy stop. Everything's getting very, very quiet. Everybody's like going, well, you know, it's just not going anywhere. But is this going to keep going to an apex of zero, like negative zero, like crude oil? No. Fuck no. Can people perceive this opportunity of a lifetime here to sell like a motherfucker with a stop this tight to get out here below this? Somebody did. But I guarantee you that once it invaded this void here on this day, people are cashing out, going all the way, pull it all the way back to the floor. It's trying to go for the bulls would love if we could start cleaning out this giant void, and it would all start on that one day, right? So all the range trading that's going on here is without regard to your channel, your moving average. This is just people bidding this up and down that creates overall all this bullshit creates, this is going to tug at your moving average eventually. Your even your 100 period 100 hourly moving average. Forget daily. This is an hourly chart, by the way, but this is a day. So if you're day trading, people say, oh, "That's a good trend day." I sold here and I got out here and it was a great trade. How many times would you put that trade on and expect the same thing? I bought here, I expecting the same move. Sorry. Can't you see that? Okay, so here's Asia breakout. Nice fucking trade. First the scalp, then the completion into this hole. Now it becomes a range trader's dream, which 80% of the market. I'm counting this as 20% move, 20%, 80% bullshit. These are clean fucking one day mind blowers, aren't they? This is a amazing kind of reversal. You end up with a doji at the end of the day here. But this is a move here. Bam. This is good. This is a monster move, but is this the trend or is this the trend? Which one was the most money? Was this the trend? I guess that's a real creeper trend. But look at all the counter trend trades. Boom, boom. If that's the trend. Keep plucking new lows. Keep buying new lows for the retracement back to that. Buy this new low for this retrace. This is a nice, exceeds this floor here. It takes out this floor. Quite the like this floor is taken out, right? Even though you could have cashed out there. And once again, when we invade this 3-day low, wow, this is a buying come in, and I think he just nicked this wick or came into this hole. So you've been feeding on this void, keeps coming back and forth, and yeah, people have got a 100-hour moving average going. Yeah, I just keep selling it from the. Yeah, I get it. If you've got a trade plan where you can sell this with a 10K consistently, or 100K or whatever it is, and you got a stop like this, and your trade plan is literally a 50 pip stop to make 100 pips on a standard lot. That's your whole fucking trade plan all day. Risking 500 to make 1,000. Can you make that every day? Sometimes you're going to risk 500, you can make 300. Yeah, you could keep pulling that trigger on that. Sure, why not? I just wouldn't do it like that myself, but like I said, I'm not up for the worrying about like, oh God, did I miss that fucking entry? I got to stop here, I'm going to get out here, and it's like got to make my $1,000 every fucking day here. Well, it's ridiculous. It's like these idiots with these these models for dead people. Trump's not going to tell you the fucking day. He's not going to give you the time of day. Not with these assholes. And then he's totally wrong about Georgia. Like, I don't think they should open the. Fuck it. Fuck it. Let it rip, you fucking pussies. Just let it rip. Anyways, I want to get all fucking pissed off again. That's what I play guitar for. Therapy. So angry. So, we never make it back here either. We never touch these guys. So, a trailing stop that's coming in here. Imagine another scenario like this multiple scenario modeling. You're a genius enough to sell here, and you can just keep adding to your winners. You sell. You keep putting a tighter stop. They really don't touch you unless you tighten your stop up too much, and then they're gonna cut into you, right? If your stop is here trailing, they trap you. So why wouldn't you sell there with a tight stop, right? Sell with a limit here, and a stop on your limit there, and your take profit's going to be anything below here or anything back to. in the downtrend, if you're going to sell here, you probably want to cash out of something here, because as soon as we start coming into here, we know there's buyers in that hole. Come in, rip back. You could sell again as they just kind of carve into this little, because the trailing stops are going to start scooching, and there's probably trailing stops here. So they really stop hunting the guy that sells late. They're crushing him. Like, so if somebody sells here and then they put a trailing stop, because I told I'm supposed to put a trailing stop, I got confirmation because it went down that day. So I don't know. This the no nonsense trade would be like, well, we buy here, you know. We buy here because, or we buy here, and we move for a stop. Then we trail our stop. If we trail it here, we make a little bit. We make this much money. I don't know if that's good enough. I guess I'm too greedy. I want some more than that, but or I'll wait for this, just this nonsense. Here's another. You just keep on nicking this. Now here's where it goes up. People are selling. This is a range, and if we look back, we'll see that if we go back deep here, we can see this is at least 4 days without looking too far back. We see this is a deeper hole. Right, because from here to here is deeper, and then this is super deep, and we're probably crushing into, I suppose, taking out stuff in this giant hole. We know this is, we don't see any recent prices here, if this is all we could see. And yeah, I think you should be able to come into any chart in any time frame and instantly know what the trade you should be in, at least for a starting point of some kind of trade. It doesn't have to be anything perfect, because I'm going to scale into this stuff. That's the whole point of the martingale, scaling in, is this. Like, the scaling in is the magic, I suppose. Soften the risk. Curve the spike. Flatten the curve. I'm sorry. Yeah, flatten the curve. God, I'm already forgetting how to social distance or what even that means. I thought it was just not fucking your neighbor, you know. Apparently, I don't know. What can you even do anymore? All the good days are gone, all behind us. So there's a lot going on in this chart that you could probably write 500 books about, and like how to do this and that. But it's really going to come down to stuff like, well, I mean, if you are going to wait for the market to calm down and you're going to decide on which the next big move is, with a tight stop, that's the obvious trade plan. You know, that's just a classic. Are you kicking the ball or are you catching the ball in football? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but if you're the kicker, you know, there's a certain thing, or you're the guy that tosses it to the kicker. Or are you the punter guy? Come out, you just punt. I guess that's the scalp, right? There's got to be some way to view trading other than, well, what's the perfect indicator? No, I would say, what's the technique? What is your role? Are you the guy playing the tambourine, or are you the guy playing the melody? So the melody would be all this up and down shit. I would say the rhythm of it, or the timing, is going to be, well, are you going to get in when it's quiet? I mean, or are you going to get in when it's going nuts? And what's going nuts is typically when the news comes out, or the markets are open at the same time, or there's been the longer the market goes quiet, the more violent the move should be. And it's also stacked over time, and the time frames stack upon each other. But at some point, you'd have to decide, well, which trade am I going to do? Am I the guy that gets in Asia and gets out in Europe, gets in Europe, gets out in Asia, or do I wait? I just set up an array of grid like this, and I just let the market come into, I just start scaling in, scaling out of like dumb shit grid trades, which just make money just like anything else? Or am I going to be a sniper that sits on my porch trying to kill the next guy that I see without a mask? But you did the right thing. You did the right thing, son. He was going to walk into town and he was going to just start hacking, dry hacking. So we have an army, what do they call the army scanner? I just think that either people have seen too many sci-fi movies, too much of that fucking Marvel comic shit just went to even the politicians' heads. It's kind of terrible when they say life imitates bad movies. Oof. God help us all. There ain't no atheist in a foxhole, damn it. I told you so. Now stay away from the indicators. Look at you now. You can't even fucking look at a 1 hour chart. Another thing, this is just as bad as an indicator. Look at this zoom out level. That's when that McGartley started appearing. He had it like starlings. And he started appearing. It's like the Big Dipper. You know the Big Dipper pattern? I know somebody blew up our account of the Big Dipper pattern. Remember that? Remember when we used to trade the Big Dipper and be turtle traders? Yeah, that was before we blew up the account. I knows it, but we got another account. It'd be fine. Let me show you the channel within the channel. You're going to like this. When the guy was doing this video today, I was like, yeah, I know it. Look at this fucking... Dude, I could sit here until my mind melted, and I have. And I don't even have to fucking adjust that tool. It just knows. Look at that. It just knows. It's perfect. So this guy, Calvin, was on my case. You don't understand. It's geometry. And I was like, dude, I got that. You know, I could do this shit all day long. Here, let me speculate into the future. So I had this other guy. And he knows who he is. He had this. He was making a projection on the euro. I don't know what happened to it. He was talking 128 or something. Everybody's talking crazy. Because when you look at this shit, who doesn't look at this and go, I see what you mean. If we just adjusted these lines just right, we could project into the future. Did you hear me? Shh, don't tell anybody. Because, yeah, your mind can get lost in this, and you can do it, you know. And all you're doing is making it okay to trade in the end. That's all you're really doing. It's like horoscopes. What's your horoscope sign? So it's one of those things where you really say, you know, I could see it. I can see your point, right? In a perfect world, Cortez, I would be like, you know what? You and me drinking beer, Ocasio-Cortez. Yeah, if the Earth's flat, babe. I think the Earth's flat too. But holy shit. And people love this Gartley shit. I like geometry. The guys, yeah, I get it. I like geometry too. But, you know, where's the trade in that? Can you show me the trade? It's so funny how it's going to come down to, well, I was in the same trade you were in, but apparently you needed all these lines. Or maybe you're not in the trade yet, right? Because don't forget, if you're a Gartley trader, your sell's not till it comes up here, and your buy's not till it comes down here. And actually, what you're doing is you're waiting for it to come down here. Now, in a perfect world, you wait for it to come down here so you can buy it, and then you can cash out here at this line. And I know these kind of targets people come up with. We all do it, you know. We sort of look at this, we go, well, fucking hey. But see, the big problem, I think, is the fractal factor. So there's this inside of this. Which one do I trade? And if I'm in here and I'm in 400 standard lots and we make it to here, I think I'm getting out. I made like $100,000 in like one day. You made $100,000 in one day. You know, that trade. And it's not like it's not impossible, right? If you could see this day here, if you would have waited for this perfect setup where this triple bottom becomes a top, not perfectly, on the wicks, I'd say, triple bottom becomes a top. You sell like a son of a bitch, and don't forget, you don't just have that channel going. You drew this channel on that day. I've seen it. Dude, I've spent hours on, I used to have this, that's how I kind of got people to watch my first videos. The most videos I got was when I attacked ICT, and I'd posted a video, and I knew that this one site on Google Plus where all these people are putting these, I guess, spam or something they call it, you know, and I put this thing on. I knew, oh, I'm gonna trigger this guy. What's this? And it was like, I had death threats and shit. So cute. They, you know who you're talking about? And they said, it's Mike. I'm like, Mike? You mean like microphone? And plus the whole GAN thing and all that shit. I mean, I know people like it. It is cool looking, I must say. I printed these charts out, but then I had to ask myself, honestly, are you going to get into this fucking, when it comes to touch this, are you going to get in when it touches this channel? Because you drew this channel? Maybe you are. But don't forget, there's a guy that just bought because it's the new low. and it's come back to here. Come back to the floor. And if you did buy there, let me ask you this. If you bought there, did you buy more when it came down here and touched the channel again? And you scaled in on a motherfucker, and then you waited for it to come back to this. Of course, you probably weren't looking at structure at that point, but you'd drawn this channel, and you could follow this thing all around the map, and you could do all these trades. You could, I got it here, I wrote it to here, then it came back, touched the channel, sure. Or you, I've been buying this whole time on a large scale, and every time it comes in here, you just buy and dump, buy and dump, buy and dump. This whole window, you just feed off of that. You can't see channels. Are you making? You could be making the same amount of money. But some guy drew a line here, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, right here, dude. You don't see the fucking apex here? What, are you retarded? Don't forget, I got a line drawn up here." These are arguments to support this entry. It's just making it okay for you to trade. You drew a trend line. It broke. It pulled back. Kind of pulled back. Maybe you sold a little bit into that a little early. But there's some other guy. All he did was put buy limits in here. He scalped that. He put buy limits and he scalped that. He put buy limits. He scalped that. And right now he's long. That'd be me. I bought this whole plunge. Right, so I'm underwater on these tickets, and I'm gonna let those become winners. Or even if they come back to here and I pluck them off, I'll only be down about $60. So I'm long the euro dollar, but that's see how that just goes on and on. It's an endless, bottomless pit. And once I zoom in one level, it changes everything. Everything changes. This is like when you look at more corona data, you go, uh-oh. Just a minute, buddy. I don't see the pattern. It doesn't look any good anymore. That's another trickery of Gartley's. Now you're like, dude, I don't even see the trade in there. It's like, now you're like, what? You're going to enter based on that? So you mean to tell me you're going to enter the charts based on this shit? Good luck. I mean, I'd say anything more zoomed in than this, it just doesn't make sense. It makes more sense. There's more data. Anyways, I'm going back to sleep, so thought I'd stop in and do a little analysis. Here's the chart. I mean, here's the account with the Ryan bot. Started off trading with the those first trades here are my I talked about that hedge trade, and so here's bracketed. This first section here is pure bracketing, and that's the scale out. See, so I dropped all those scripts. I wrote the 12-hour and the so and so, and here's the stop outs. Are this profitable on the downside? No, these are losses. I think, Rod. Right. Then we come in with the real long trades. $80, way the fuck out here. See this. I think that's dollars, right? No, that's how long the trade. And then we got the my hit rate is pretty bad, so I'm risking even though I'm at 55%, my win rate is only 46%. So that's why we only made about with the Ryan bot, we're up close profit, so we're floating. We're sitting at like 1,600 up overall if we got it right now. That's as far as we got. I guess I can look at the comments in the orders there. I think you can turn the comments on. I can't remember how to do it here, right? I think you gotta turn it on. No. I thought I had it on, but it's not. Oh, I got to send it on the publisher, so I'm not sending it on the publisher, so that's why it's not showing up. But so that's that, and I can publish. I can put the link to that. So if I was going to test this account now, what I want to do now, kind of, is I made some robots that trade a specific zone, and it keeps dropping a certain amount of tickets. So I could throw that in, and that's a different style. So it'd be interesting to keep track of the styles of these trades. But yeah, the grid trading, I think, this is the way to make money from random moves. But you don't have to trade everything like that, and I wouldn't put all my money in one account for that reason. Also, with a account with $5,000 in it, you're going to risk $500 a month. How long does it take you to blow up the account? You don't always have to risk 500, but maybe that's the max risk you'll take. And so if you just trade like that, as far as the scripts go, and if somebody asked about the scripts, I guess I did a separate video about that, but I could put a link to the scripts, and then you could put them in an experiment. You're going to have to enable the, you have to go to options in here and turn on your enable automated trading under the expert advisors. Even if you're running just scripts, you got to turn this on. And this is for my publisher to publish the data. But you just have to experiment with the scripts a little bit, I think. There's drop style, and then there's double click. So it's either you can choose 3 types of execution. It could be a stop entry, market order, or limits. But since they're all typically 1Ks, this way it's hard to really do damage to the account because you're putting a bunch of little tickets in there. So it may seem like, well, that's tedious, but it's going to keep you from what's the sense in thinking that you're going to make the ultimate decision? And so, since it's such a great decision, that you're going to go really big on it. So you'd have to do it in layers of good and bad decisions. But I don't think anybody's really thinking about that. And they're usually thinking, but wait a minute, have you seen this? Have you heard of this triangle setup? Or they talk about setups and stuff. But within that setup, there needs to be a setup that's kind of like just the obvious trade. The first exit that is going to make that initial money. Whether it's 20% of the shipping, so you're going to make something on just, right, if you're a guy that buys stuff on eBay and you're trying to make 20% on all your shit. So sometimes you're only going to make 5%. But you got to get rid of that object because you need the cash flow. You need to free up the margin, see? You got to free up that margin. You can't be holding all the time and stuff. So if they stop you out because you got tight stops, then you let the thing go flat, and then you have a basket of orders deeper. Where the problem with this robot is, you need to have a robot that's going to step in, maybe the robot that trades in the U.S. markets. Somebody's talking about they had a drawdown problem. Yeah, because I think if the market heats up, you got to pull out the 5-pip grid bot and tell the 5-pip grid bot no, because you're coming into U.S. Open. There's going to be drama. You got to trade smaller. But there's small wide grid bot comes in. So orchestrating these robots is the key. Yes, this robot does good then. That's why Ryan Brown's having a problem, because he's like, oh fucking hey, this move is so big, I just blew up the robot, I gotta redesign it. No. That robot's designed for certain conditions, right? It's a car you built. So he's building a car because the terrain's oh, we got to build an SUV. Oh, no, we got to build a ventilator. Oh, no, we got to build a hospital bed. It's like one guy. No, you got to have all that shit. So you got to have the little stuff and the big stuff. You got to be an all-purpose, if you can, the more layers you have, the more situations you could accommodate. And once you realize the market's like losing its mind, it's up 300 pips. Look at this market here on the left side of the chart. It's up. It's like fucking around 10th of March. It's up 200 pips. It's down 200 pips. Now you'd be whipsawed in a wide zone like that. There's no way you're gonna be able to trade that. The same way you did on the right side of this chart, where it's walking down this gentle 50 pips smash, 50 pips up, 50 pips down. So this swinging that's going on, people swing high to swing low. Yeah, and I want time frame. I want how many swing high to swing low on the 5-minute chart is different than swing low, swing high on the 1-hour chart. And what are you going to do about it? How are you going to ride that? You got to take something off that, whether it's 10 pips. There's no way you're going to deliver this product untouched. You really think you're going to take a fucking house and flip it in 5 minutes? You can't even fucking get anybody to know that you have it yet. To somebody to come in and buy it. So stuff that's laying out there. And then all of a sudden there's demand, Nobody wanted these fucking ventilators, and then they wanted them. But the way the way that people treat a crisis, if you're caught making money on that, but the government's, the way the government's regulated with the certificates of need, they've created their own order imbalance and own gridlock. And that's why this ventilator costs $50,000, because they don't make enough of them to make them cheap. So it's a rare built item. And the certificates of need keep them from being built, because the government says anybody just can't own one of these. You can't just own a CAT scan either. That'll be the next thing they have a shortage. We don't have CAT scans. We don't have enough fucking. Yeah, I know a guy that's probably out of job right now. I used to see at the coffee shop, and he does. He tweaks these giant fucking kilowatt cancer zappers, and he tunes them up and rebuilds them. And nobody's getting that done, so order imbalances by the market's worried about a merger between AT&T and some cable company. Meanwhile, they just fucking grab every lever like a science fiction flick as you're going into a meteor shower. Joe, grab the wheel. I got it. It's like Gilligan's Island. But this is psychosis across the markets, and yeah, it's kind of rough. I don't think people, like I said, when the volatility that people claim they need to make money becomes so big that they can't fucking believe how much volatility there is, and making claims of like bull markets and bear markets when it's just smashing around. And even if you could make that claim that it's bullish or bearish, can you really ride the bull or bear train without getting kicked out? Because you can't, the guy that says you're trading for peanuts, well, of course, I'm losing peanuts. So adjusting yourself to the amount of peanuts you would need to make money. So if you always have your level set to peanuts, you can survive a big move, a small move, and what you're saying is that I know when I should trade really big, and I can trade really small if I have to. Yeah, you could trade big all the time, but then your frequency of trade is going to go up because they keep hitting your 20 pip stop now instead of your 50 pip stop that's in half the position. And that's the struggle. To do a flat 2% risk on your account is pretty fucking lazy. Yeah, I'm just going to go flat 2%. Because I'm that good at trading. Well, if you had 10 accounts, I could see it. 2% in each account. So you have 10 accounts, and each one's risking 2%. Okay, I got that. That would make sense, because then you're not risking 2% now. When the signal comes up on one account, then it gets triggered, then it puts the trade on. So you're really risking 0.2%. because you got 10 accounts. And maybe they're all engaged at the same point, but that's where the robustness of having more than one robot on one single instrument. The robot that's supposed to hedge you, and there's a blend between hedge mode and limit mode and all that stuff, or maybe you do put on a pure, you just trade the British pound and limits only on a separate account. So you have all these different accounts. This one's doing good, that one's doing bad, that one pays for your hookers, the other one pays for your electric bill. And you blow up one account, you still got another account. Right? To have all your money in one account means you got to be saying, I'm going to scalp with this account, or I'm going to. You have to really, if you trade more than one currency, you'd have to really know what those other currencies are doing. And like I said, it's up to anybody that wants to, how far you want to go. But obviously, stepping up to the plate and having a $10,000 account, trading 10 standard lots in every trade is a little bit tough. Even though, done right, you're going to make a lot of fucking money. Like I said, that's high pressure trading. Whereas if you just have 5Ks staggered 10 pips apart and the market smashes down 40 pips in an hour and retraces in Asia, because it just did that because some news came out of someplace, and that's your trade, and you can pull it off like that, and that's your trade. You just hunt for a smash down. You just trade a wick on a hammer, and you in on the opening, you're out at the close. So you're the hammer. When the hammer's over, the top ticket is at break even, or it's just slightly above, maybe slightly engulfed, and that's where you get out, right? You get out right there. So that's the other thing to consider. Is that okay? Do you mind making money in these kind of random spikes? Would you rather see yourself building an algorithm that picks perfect entries and you ride the trend, you let your trend be your friend, and you let your profits run, and all these cliches, right? Is it even possible? And is it better to make money from chaos and just put in limits in a grid and say, I don't know? Or is it better to trade a non-directional breakout system where the market gets quiet, you bracket on both ends, and you say, yeah, sometimes they'll chop me out. I'll get whipsawed 20% of the time, but I'm used to that. I'm used to this bullshit. I'm used to going to the store. The power's out. Our credit card system's down. Yeah, the nice girl got in a car crash. Anything other questions? I don't know. The utopianism, I guess, of the Gartley pattern just sucks people in. Like I got, you look at it, you say, like triangles, pennants, flags, and channel trading. That's what I do. Channel trading. Yeah, I think I got the hang of this. That channel trading, man, that really works out good. And then, I like the ascending triangles. The descending triangles, I'm not sure I have a trade plan for that one yet, but I'm working on it. I guess that's the cruel hoax of it. That's why I don't think I could ever, I guess, I don't know. You just kind of feel like you just have to say what you think. Because if you were trying to sell a course, the disappointment factor, it'd be like if you were trying to get the blue governors to get their shit together. Like, I can only help you so much, man. You see... Okay, there's outside, here's inside. You say you want to go outside and get some fresh air. You go outside. I don't know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him smoke crack. There's things you can do, and you can, Marion Barry. There's things you can do and things you can't. There's human nature. There's Jesse Smollett meets, what's his name? Marion Barry. They should go on tour together. The victim tour. Don't you know who I am? I'm the guy that invented Gartley's, and I have a Gartley scanner. Oh, the Gartley scanner just reminded me. Empowered Trading is selling this Gartley scanner. I thought, oh my God, does it come with a mood ring? What the fuck? I know people like it. People like it. They love it. They eat it up. Fucking hey, people are still buying cigarettes and alcohol through the whole Corona thing. Can I get another fifth of tequila? Can I get that 151 rum? I'm sorry, 181. What the fuck was I thinking? That shit you light on fire. Can I get that stuff you light on Fireball? Can I get some Fireball? I don't know how people do that shit, man. I guess you get used to anything. You know how much money I made trading on Fireball? Fuck, get out of here. That is my fucking edge. Everybody needs an edge in trading. Mine's Stolichnaya. I have some Stoli here. I'm gonna 100 proof yellow buildings. This very who's the Dos Equis guy? When I want to trade forex, but I do think the way you zoom, the way you look at even this 1 hour chart, like look at this zoomed in view of the 1 hour chart. Does that give you a different feel for the trade plan? This trade plan's different than this trade plan by far. When you say, like here you can see. Oh, look at how this one period moving is very quiet. Look at that slam. This is the 1 hour chart. Look at how it turns on a dime on the 1 hour. And look how it, when you go down here and they just nick that, look how that comes ripping back. In 1 hour, you just made X amount of pips. You know, that's not good enough trade for you. Look at the 1 hour breakout. Looks so simple. You have a buy stop here, a sell stop here. Is that enough money for you, though? Here's another trade entry for a small bar entry. Breakout. Is that enough money? Why does it turn around? Why does it not go up and cut into that? Right, once it takes off this top, people sell here, you sell more here, and you sell more even here. It never fills that ticket. Maybe just barely. But look at the payout on this sell. You sold here. That eventually becomes a winner. This one could be, if you trade it just in 2 tickets, one is here with a wide stop, one's here, limit entry on these tops. You also sold because it's up in an hour. So you're in sell limit here filled. You sold because you're using 2 different trade plans. You sold because it's up, you sold because it's up. You do not buy when it's down. I mean, you don't sell when it's down. You only sell high, buy low. You got filled on a 4K because you have sell limit, sell even more on a limit. If you were there to watch it happen, you didn't have to be. So here's the difference. You don't have to be here for these trades. You sell limit, sell limit. You could put those in when the market was down here. You could have put a sell limit here, and that eventually became a winner, if you want to think of it that way. But I think the deeper the void, this is an older vacuum. This is old. This is the oldest. And if you bought here, by the same token, say on the way down, you bought the market. You bought the market. You bought the market. You bought the market. Are you not long? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. They all become winners. If you took one off here, you took the other off here, that's 4 in and 3 out. And you'd say, well, fuck, why don't we just build a robot for that? Well, the problem is, does the robot say, if we're down this much, we're going to buy this much according to how much money's in the account? Or is it going to be a hard dollar amount? And since this move is not as violent, this is going to have this tighter stop. This is a tighter stop, and this has a tight stop. Because these are baby moves down have tight stops. Big move down may have a stop here. You just got stopped out. But you get in this one, and this one you do not get stopped out on. And here you buy a lot with a tight stop at the market. You could even do the Goober stop entry. Buy stop. Only run buy stops and small candles. Buy stop, buy stop. Look at your long. It's up. People are going to sell. People sold here right there because it's up. Just because it's up. If this closes down in 1 hour, that's in 10 minutes. People will buy that pullback with a tight stop down here. Or just a bunch of tight stops. But imagine you had the ability to press the button and buy a 50K. And you could write a script that buys a 50K and has a different stop for each one of those Ks and a different target. So you pull the trigger, you get in unified there. Maybe a little different if the market's moving because it's going to be punching out 50K. It may take a while to fill, and the targets are going to be like this, right? In a logical world. You have better ratios. And so, it's very tight down here, 50K. And you're not going to look at structure. It's a hard script. It's buy at the market. And it's got a scaled out thing like this. And you just pull the trigger once. It's a 50K. It's a ton of shit right there. Just like here, you could pull the trigger, 50K, and it's going to stream out, right? I could write that script and I could run it and show you. You pull the trigger, it's up here. You pull the trigger to 50K, another 50K. Yeah, you're going to get stopped out of some of that shit, but the targets that are designed here have stops like this, right? It only makes sense. And if you got to pull 50K here, it has to be a 50K with wide stops. This can be a 50K with tight stops. Now you got to have 5 50K tickets that you buy at the market. You're trading 250K if need be, depending on conditions. If it's slightly up, you could sell here. You could sell here. It's up more. You got to risk more. Right here, tight stop. Maybe they took you out. Then it goes smashing down. When you buy here the 50K, it's got to have stops like this. Right? And it's going to be a high risk thing, but it'll eventually make money. Or are you going to be this Albert Brooks, which I could never do this shit. He's got a 5-minute chart. He's putting a sell stop here because he counted 5 bars from the opening of the so-and-so to the so-and-so. Okay, dude, it's the S&P 500. I got ES minis. This is a 24-hour market in forex. Completely different trade plans because I can take advantage of Asia. I'm not waiting for S&P, even if it's Globex, whatever the fuck it's doing. I'm not babysitting the S&P 500. I'm just not babysitting a 5-minute chart and doing that fucking confirmation bullshit entries. I'm going to go against. Like if it's screaming up, I'm selling at the market. Yeah, it overshot this floor if you consider that to be the previous support. Yeah, it went screaming through it. It doesn't negate that rule because I don't have the fucking rules like that. If it's up, I sell. If it's up, I sell. I got limits up here. And if I do think that I don't have enough limits up here in this pocket, I would sell more at the market. But that would be like right now. If this closes down, I guarantee you I'd buy this at the market as soon as this comes down a little bit on the 1-hour chart. Because I know I can run a tight stop and I could push a button and hit a 50K and I've done it. It's very dramatic because you're basically getting in right here and your exits are going to be scalp, scalp, scalp. You're going to be out of 20K by here and the rest is all how you feather that out. Same thing here. You're going to have a stop, a soft stop, right? You want to lose the whole position. What if it bangs around before it takes off? You don't want to lose the whole position. You don't want to have one position. That's how you don't lose. The whole position is a multiple tickets. I mean, the position, I think, is like a direction. Taking a position in the market to me would mean I have a bias. I'm going to say it's going up. But if I pull the trigger, and I don't have to, I could pull the trigger at the market and write a script that says buy at the market and put in limits 1 pip apart or half a pip apart for 20 pips down. Every time I bet the market, I buy and I'm throwing limits. Or I typically just put limits in. So eventually came down to, you know what? I'm just going to put limits in. I'm not going to trade the market. I'm going to see if I can get the right sizing on the limits first. And if I have to, the worst, things get really, because typically I will get filled on the limits. And that's a pre-calculated risk too. Whereas, and I don't have to babysit it. There are pockets in the market that I know that once they fill that pocket, sure, it could keep crashing. And it has done that. People say, what happens if it goes through that order bank? Well, you know what you're risking. And the challenge is to not, if you can't watch it happen, right, because it may be too stressful, you have to look away. So here, when we go down here, like now, if you didn't see this happen, it wouldn't bother you. But if you saw this happen, come smashing down, you're like, holy shit, are they going to just keep tanking? You You may freak out and pull the order. So here, in 5 minutes, it's 5 minutes before midnight, I'm sure people are buying that. And they're going to buy with very tight stops now. Right? That's a logical thing. In a quiet market, you can run tight stops. In a loud market, you're going to have to go wider. Okay. Coming up on the midnight. The bewitching hour, 5 minutes before midnight. Big rally coming into Asia. Open, I think stocks are going to scream up. We're down the final phase of this move now. As Georgia opens up, the first brave souls on the planet to fucking... Is it really that bad? Oh, it's worse than you think. We're above our baseline, though. Everything's kind of teetering sideways. The volatility's gone out of the stock market. I want this robot to trade this thing, but it won't take a trade because the spread sucks. It's tight. I don't know why it's not taking any trades on the yen. Also here on that, looks like the British pound's about to take off. Terrible spread here though. 1.5 pips. All right, so the dollar is getting crushed here, coming into the top of the hour, and that is the 4-hour chart. You can see how hard it would be for you to channel trade. I know there's channel traders out there, and all these people. You look at this channel here, and you'd say, well, at what point do I get on the channel? Like, is this the entry? Because I drew this line, and I got touches here. We touch here, I get in. Okay, well. There's sellers above there, and there's the top become a bottom, and we start to walk up, and it's diverging. It's not hitting the top of the channel. Do you wait for the break of the trend line? Comes back, kind of tries to retest, can't get above it. People say, well, that's the setup. See, you saw that. And confirmation because this bottom becomes the top. All right, that's 4-hour chart. You mean to tell me you set all there a week for that one setup? Why bother? Just buy everything below here, I say. See, that's when I decided, you know what, I'm just going to buy everything below here. As soon as it comes down there, that's the trade. I'm going to sell everything above here. Well, you can't just sell everything above there. Why not? Right? It's good. I mean, this is the better trade, just as good as the trade as your trade. I put it about fucking 10 pips apart, comes up here, it gets up, boom, I'm out. I accumulate everything on sell limits up here above this, and it comes back, and I'm out. I buy everything below here. I'm out. Buy below here, I'm out. People range trading all this bullshit. Don't forget the market orders. Every time it's up, I sell. Every time it's down, I buy. It's up, I sell. It's down, I buy. It's up, I sell. It's so simple. It is really, if you have that ticket available where you can buy with a 50 pip stop. You may not make your whole 100 pips. And what do you do here when the market gets really quiet? It's all quiet here. You get chopped up. Yeah, you probably get stopped out of something. Especially if you're trading one ticket, you can imagine that. Trading with a 20 pip stop the rest of your life and everything. Same size 20 pip stop, 2% of my account. That's pretty tough. You're asking a lot. Okay, Euro's up here. Going after this high. Nice and tight. Stop. Go to the 15-minute chart. Okay, so we've had our little buy. It's triggered here. Dipped in that window. Coming up back to this. We got to take out this top. We got to cut to there. Sellers are going to come in up here. Buyers are going to come in down there. You could also put a symmetrical thing in here. I could run a robot right now that I wrote that I know has a certain area, and I know it would keep covering this, and would just do something that I would, but I'd only run it for one day. Let's turn the robot on. It's a very specific one here. So let me show you. This is like, for instance, I know what this robot will do. I've tested these. I call it the harmonic retrace bot. I did it to see if they would sue me. Here's a daily deep scalp. These are symmetrical. These buy and sell limits. I got the one the pip range here though. So this is going to be 20 pips. 22, 240 minutes here. Hard stop. Hard take profit. So I'm going to put this in there on top of the euro, on top of his robot. So that robot's ready to go. It's just going to keep launching the same script. So the criteria for this is just limits, above and below, and it lasts for 4 hours. So I'm going to just let that go tonight. Now the deeper ones, I would put on the more violent currencies like this one. This is the euro versus yen. This thing can really get out of control. So I'm going to throw it on here. I'll throw a deeper one on top of his, the Ryan bot. This is going to be 120 pips all day long with 140 pip stop. It's going to go 60 to 120 pips. It's a retrace harmonic bot. Very specific function there. So those are the sell limits and buy limits above and below the market, starting at 60 to 120 with 140 stop. Hard stop. Hard take profit. Harmonic retrace. So that's cool. And that's gonna every day it drops. So that's for the whole day. That's a low frequency trader. I'm going to put the same thing on the British pound. So I'm going to step out of Ryan's spot and go into my kind of calculated. Let's see. I'm going to go for the. I got one up here. Scalper. Hey, 85 pips to 120 pips with a soft take profit. It just keeps launching the same trade plan. Wait for that tick to come in. Here's the sells. Here's the buys. So I could have one of these robots, if I'm going to run on the British pound, I could have these, just keep refreshing these tickets. And this is a very kind of calculated approach. This is not our size, not making that script go. It's just going to drop it because a certain time of day is going to come, or so many minutes go by, or it's just going to do that for me. It's going to. But I could have the other one running. Every half hour, it's dropping tighter tickets to pick up small moves. And that's the other approach, is to take those and orchestrate all these very dedicated robots that were a single purpose. Probably better than Ryan's bot, because I can take, if the market is going 200 pips a day, I can rewrite that robot in about 10 minutes to make it capture bigger, and just rename it and call it Psycho Swing, Psycho Deep State Swing Destroyer. And I know what it's doing. So when I see it to fill on limits, and I'm like, oh God, it's already retraced. I just cash out. And you're just picking up money and just cashing out, really. Like, oh, that's easy money. Okay, I wait for the retracement on this, and then that's it for the rest of the week. Is a rally in this euro into my sell limits. So I put that on top of Ryan's bot. I don't think it's doing any money management to my tickets, but honestly, I don't care. Anyways, that's that. It's 5 after midnight, and I can wait till London opens. She'll be back at the top of these white lines, or these blue lines here. I'm thinking that's what we're going to come back to.